Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I am very much looking forward to my conversation today with Alison Mclean. Alison was diagnosed with Lynch syndrome, a genetic mutation that puts her at risk for several different types of cancer. Only a couple months later, following her first cancer screen, she was diagnosed with rectal cancer. This caused her to reevaluate not only the sustainability of her own business, but the whole wellness industry. She now has a passion to help other wellness entrepreneurs grow their businesses sustainably with profit while still caring for her own health and enjoying life in the process. Welcome to the show today, Alison.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to share your story. So we're going to go back. I know you're originally from Rochester, New York, the big metropolitan of Rochester, New York.
That's correct.
Awesome. Talk to us about, early education choices, college. You went to University of Delaware. What pushed you to that decision and then your major there?
Yeah, I love this because it really does all wrap together. From a young age, my dad and his mom always taught my sister, brother, and I the importance of health and caring for ourselves. At the time, we didn't know we had this genetic mutation, but we did know, or my dad used to say, like, our family has a vulnerability to cancer. So taking care of yourself, your health is important, the choices you make, what you eat. And so pretty much our family got obsessed with fitness and health. And so that led me from Rochester, New York to University of Delaware, where my undergraduate major was health and exercise science. And Delaware appealed to me for two reasons. It was a little bit warmer than Rochester, where we get a lot of snow, and I could dive there, Division I, but it wasn't, I had some injuries I was working through at the time. So it wasn't as competitive, I guess you could say, as a Big Ten Division I school, but I could dive Division I, and I loved that.
Fantastic. So talk about you graduate. What was next for you? What was your first career?
Yeah, I actually, maybe I was an overachiever at the time, but the week I graduated from college, I also graduated from massage school. So I moved out to San Diego because I was following the sun and the warmth and my sister, if I have to be truthful. And when I moved out here to San Diego, I had a friend I was working with who thought I was already a personal trainer. I received my personal training certification over 20 plus years ago in college. And she thought it'd be a great idea to combine massage and personal training, since she was a personal trainer as well. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll do it. Things are more fun with friends. I'll go through the certification with you. So I ended up completing my internship for college the same week I finished massage therapy school. And so I got a job right off the bat with the place I interned for health and exercise science. And then I also got a job. I believe one of my first jobs as a massage therapist was in a chiropractic clinic. So that's where I started.
That's awesome. And I don't know anything about massage school. Like, how long is the program? How intense is it? And that's amazing that you were doing both at the same time and diving.
Yeah. Well, at the time when I had my internship, I moved out here to San Diego, so I was no longer diving. But the program that I went to was through School of Healing Arts in Pacific Beach here in San Diego. And at the time it was a 500-hour program, and it was a la carte. So there was certain programs or classes that you did together as a group, and then you fulfilled more hours through the path that you wanted to niche in, I guess you could say. I moved back to New York not too long after I finished that. And New York requires a state board and 1,000 hours. So it really is dependent state by state. So I went back to school when I moved back to New York and sat and passed for the board. And then decided I missed sunny San Diego and came back out here. The things we do in our 20s.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad you landed back out in San Diego. And then you also went on to get a doctorate of physical therapy at Chapman University. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I was practicing as a massage therapist. At that time, I was working as an independent contractor in a spa. So it was the start of my entrepreneurial mindset, I guess you could say, maintaining clientele, paying my rent and all the things as an independent contractor back then for almost 10 years. I was part of this spa for 5 or 7 years. And I had a lot of repeat clientele who had migraines or back pain. And at that point, I got pretty good understanding what I was feeling under my fingers, but to put together what was happening structurally or biomechanically and all that sort of stuff, I knew I needed more education. So I was very compelled, I guess you could say, not compelled to take on the student debt. That's kind of what held me back, but I was compelled to learn the knowledge of PT school. So I finally got the courage to go, to apply and go.
That's a lot. So I should be calling you Dr. Allison.
You could, but then you have to say physical therapy afterwards.
Okay.
California
okay.
law.
All right. Well, I'll just call you Allison then.
Perfect. I love that.
All right. Awesome. So let's get into your business, Allison. You've been independent, kind of self-employed for quite some time. What brought you into the push to then kind of formalize that in your own brand, ignite your wellness, and then do the work that you're doing, the healing work you're doing, but then bring in some business consulting into the mix as well?
Yeah. Well, it all started from injuries, actually, in my diving world. When I was at University of Delaware, I had a few significant injuries that required surgeries. And what really helped me to heal from the surgeries was physical therapy, was going to massage school, actually, and doing those trades with my colleagues. And during that time, 20 plus years ago, I was also practicing yoga. And it was this magical combination of the three of those that really led to this powerful healing. So when I was injured when I was 20 years old, and I didn't see hope because, for example, my wrist, my right hand, I had 3 surgeries on, and I went to the surgeon because I was unable to twist my hand enough to take the gas thing off my car. I couldn't keep up with the writing in my college classes to take notes. And he told me, he was like, I did the best I could do. You had a really extensive injury. Don't choose a career with your hands or else you're going to have arthritis. And I guess maybe I was a little rebellious when I picked massage school, but I lost hope. I didn't really understand my place in the world because I identified so strongly with being a diver. And when I didn't have diving in my life anymore, I was confused as to what my purpose was. So when I stumbled onto that yoga mat, I reconnected to my purpose. I reconnected to the hope. And so it was this combination of healing on all these different levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, that allowed me to fully heal that hand. And I've been practicing with my hands for over 20 years now, and I don't have any signs of arthritis. And so just that powerful evidence of my own story showed me what was possible for the healing modalities. Because when I went through physical therapy, it was helpful. However, I wasn't fully healed and insurance cut me off. And, at the time, a lot of physical therapy clinics, that was their model, and that's fine. But I realized there was more. So that started my vision of having a clinic where someone could come and we could do this complete transformational healing where, yes, we addressed the physical issue, for example, low back pain, but we also got into how that low back pain was affecting someone's life, how they were showing up, or the hope that they might have for their future.
Yeah, I mean, it's all connected, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're in physical pain, that's going to affect every aspect of your life, and work and sleep and all of it. And it's so amazing to me how much we ignore it, right? Yeah. Or figure out how to ignore it.
Yes.
So, you're doing this work with clients. How did you then get into more of kind of the business side of things, like business coaching, working with other wellness practitioners?
Yeah. So I started my own business in 2016. And truthfully, I had no plan to start my own business because both my parents were entrepreneurs, and I did run that massage office for a period of time. So I knew the work involved to start your own business. I really had no desire to do that. But then I was let go. And during that time, I had old patients reach out to me, and my husband and I had a spare bedroom in our house, and I had my table. And so I just started working with people, and my business evolved from there. And I quickly realized how much I didn't know in terms of starting a business, except for stuffing envelopes for my father or doing flyers in a mailbox for my mom, how much business has evolved since then. So I got to work learning and attended many masterminds and hired my own coaches and grew a profitable business. And during that time, I worked with a lot of people and hosted a lot of workshops and led a lot of yoga trainings. And it was through that time where I started getting requests. Well, your business, I would love to run a holistic business like yours. Can you teach me how? And so then the business side of my business evolved as well. So I do have two sides where I still work with the patient healing from injuries, but I also work with the wellness entrepreneur hoping to grow their own business.
Yeah. You have so many online offerings. One of them I love is 5 strategies you must take for your body, brain, and bank account. I love that you're like weaving all of this together. Yoga therapy. What is yoga therapy exactly?
Yeah, in my mind, I think it's an individualized approach because there's many facets of it. But in my mind, it's solving a particular problem where you can go to a yoga class, which I do weekly and love, and it's a reset for the nervous system. You're moving the body, but you're showing up to a class and it's maybe has a focus like a peak pose or working on your hips or something like that, which is great and needed. But at times you might have an injury like sciatica, or maybe you're going through a period of a lot of anxiety in your life and you want to focus and hone in on a specific problem. That's where yoga therapy comes in, because it's a more, you could use the word prescriptive sequence of poses and working with the full person, again, mentally, emotionally, physically, to help to solve that problem. So that's the difference in my mind.
Awesome. And you also have a mastermind as well. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, well, right now, that's coming in the future. So right now I'm working with people one-to-one. And yeah, in the future, I hope to launch a group program where entrepreneurs have a community that they can go to with like-minded thinkers and get the support that they want. Right now, Hera Hub is a great place for that. I must put a plug there for you guys.
Yep, absolutely. That's awesome. And we're starting, Julia Westfall, who runs Hera Hub DC, is going to be spearheading some connections between all our awesome health and wellness community. We have a lot. We pulled our whole member list. I'm like, wow, we have a lot of people in this space. It's really, really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So continue to talk a little bit about some of the other things that you're working on in the business. Obviously the mastermind. I mean, you're working one-on-one, you've got a lot of on-demand support for folks. What does next year look like for your business?
Yeah, I must say that has been a mistake of mine.
How so?
I have a little bit of a squirrel brain where something.
Girl, you are not alone. Like I know, like 80% of entrepreneurs I know are entrepreneurs because they're idea people, right?
Yes, I have so many ideas, and through the years of working with so many different people, like I have so many different ways I love to help people. And so a lot of those on-demand programs were just created through the years. Yeah. And truthfully, though, what has helped to create the most sustainability in working, bringing in the most money while still having plenty of time with my family and relaxing on weekend and serving the people that are paying me to the highest is just keeping it simple and doing one-to-one. So that's what I've been doing. And some people aren't appropriate for my one-to-one. So however someone may come into the world right now, all roads lead to a consultation call. And on that call with me, I kind of determine the best fit for them, or we do it together, really. So if they're not a good fit for my one-to-one program, and they are a great fit for one of the other on-demand programs I have, then I'll let them know and they can do it. But I only market that one-to-one, and creating that simplicity for my business just allowed it to skyrocket.
That's awesome. And you also have a podcast.
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Talk about the podcast.
Yeah, it's the Ignite Your Wellness Business podcast. So I cycle through 3 main areas of what I feel is required for the entrepreneur. So it's practitioner skills. So I speak from both the physical therapist, the yoga therapist, the massage therapist in terms of like whole person healing for the wellness entrepreneur, the coaching side of things as well. So we work on practitioner skills there. We also work on business skill sets. So specific strategies and techniques in terms of marketing and selling, for example, how to guarantee your results and deliver on the results that you're promising in your marketing, as well as the mindset behind it all, which is really the fuel. So overcoming any imposter syndrome or lingering doubt there in the background when you show up to go to work day to day.
And that is real. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges I see with entrepreneurs. I know you see it too, is just, and it seems so simple, right? Like mindset, right? Yeah. Like, let's just,
switch the flip,
exactly.
Flip the switch.
Exactly. Oh, it is challenging. And the community you're working with are creative and intuitive. That's the reason why they got into that business for them, I'm sure for many of them. So really creating that structure and focus around that. So incredibly important.
Yeah. And the world really needs wellness entrepreneurs right now as we come out of the pandemic. Like people are trying to figure out like, what's this new normal look like for them? And some people, because maybe they really starved for that community or their yoga classes or fitness classes, they're really craving that right now. And so the wellness entrepreneur is needed in so many different facets.
Yeah. And if we can go into this a little bit, Alison, this blend of, whatever you want to call it, Eastern and Western. We've, as a society, especially during the pandemic too, because, a lot of folks couldn't, like you said, access some of these resources and this one-on-one support. And so I'm feeling anxious. I go to my doctor, and what does he or she do? He gives me, maybe a pill or something to, because that's the easy fix, right? And so the balance between the two and getting people to swing that pendulum back into, for lack of a better word, Eastern or, more
alternative.
Alternative. Exactly.
Yeah. And personally, that's what I do for my own life and my own health. When I was diagnosed with rectal cancer, I was so grateful for Western medicine for finding it in the first place, because it was the preventative screens. Had it not been for Western medicine, I wouldn't have gotten that genetic diagnosis of Lynch syndrome. That wouldn't have led me to the preventative screen through Western medicine. And it would have been caught. It was only stage 1. It could have been much later. And then you're looking at more invasive procedures, and it's a much more life-affecting thing when cancer is caught later. So I was so grateful for Western medicine. I'm so grateful for my oncologist and the whole team at UCSD. They're really amazing. So number one is in Western medicine is finding that team. Where I started, it didn't resonate so much, and they didn't really understand Lynch syndrome. So it wasn't valued, I guess, or weighed heavily into my screening protocol. So I switched. I found practitioners that did know about it. And so that's number one. If a practitioner isn't resonating with you, it doesn't feel right, you don't feel heard, just find someone who will listen, because there are a ton of caring and compassionate healthcare providers out there. You just have to find them and seek them out. And I actually have great referrals. If you're here in San Diego and local, just reach out to me. I'm happy to refer out. And I also worked with alternative medicine of going to my own yoga classes. I worked with my own yoga therapist. I had I still do have an acupuncturist, a naturopath, and I would bounce ideas off of them because I had to make a decision whether or not to have a preventative hysterectomy, because with Lynch syndrome, you're at risk for uterine cancer. And the more concerning one was ovarian cancer because of there's not as good of screens to detect it early. And so I had to make a decision if I wanted to have a surgery to remove those organs, which essentially would send me into early onset menopause. And so I would, get the information from my oncologist, and I would also talk and discuss with my naturopath. And through listening to both of them, I made the decision for myself to finally go through with the surgery.
Oh, that is a tough decision.
It was, but I'm grateful for it now.
Yes.
Even though I have hot flashes.
There you go. There you go. All right. So Alison, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, where is the best place for them to do that? Is your website?
Yeah, the website's the easiest spot. It's igniteyourwellness.com, and the yours with the UR. So it's igniteyourwellness.com. And there's tons of free resources there, and they can get access right to the podcast.
Awesome. How long have you had your podcast?
I think I just got, one of those reminders on Facebook saying it's 160 episodes, and I go about on average one a week. So I think we're looking at almost 3 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And on all the major platforms, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. Well, Alison, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed learning a bit about your background and talking a bit about the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.